Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Illumineers Quest podcast, where we talk everything Lorcana, not just the Illumineers Quest product. I'm Zach.
And I'm Jacob.
And thanks for coming on this journey with us. I think I got to do that one or two more times before I retire the new intro.
No, I like it. Let's keep it.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe we should, because maybe new people find us when Chapter 4 comes out with the Illumineers Quest stuff, and so maybe it is important. I don't know. It's kind of funny.
I think it is important. Honestly, it's just so funny and such a coincidence that we should keep it up as a gimmick. I honestly do.
Okay, that's fair. I kind of like it, so we'll roll with it. Anyways, that being said, today we are doing a total song card tier list. All the songs, chapter 1 through 3, we're tier listing them all.
There's a few discussions that I know are going to be very heated.
Heated, because we already got into it.
Before the episode even started,
yes,
we got into it. So.
Yes. So, I think songs are as important as ever, which is kind of shocking to think, because I think, going back to chapter 1 has some of the best songs, but with like the new Ursula and Emerald that double sing songs, and with Along Came Zeus, I think just songs continue to be more and more important. And so, we just wanted to look back on some of the most important songs that have come out throughout the set and kind of talk through all the different things. So, with that said, that's kind of the quick little intro. We'll go ahead and jump into the episode here. As always, everyone, thanks again for the support. I always have to take a little break here to say that. If you're listening on the podcast, any of the major podcast networks this time, we do have a video, as we always do when we do the tier lists behind this on our YouTube channel at Illumineers Quest on YouTube. So you can follow along as we move the cards around and kind of see where everything ends up. And then if you're on YouTube, we also have all of our episodes on major podcast network if you're interested in that. And then as always, thanks for following along on our Twitter/X account at LorcanaPod. You can email the show at lorcanapod@gmail.com as well. And if you want to support the show, the easiest way to do so is in our affiliate link that you can find below for buying TCG player singles. Okay. Questions/comments from listeners. I don't have any specific comment again that I want to mention, but I do have a couple of the polls that I think are kind of fun that, again, I don't think we've talked about yet. The first one I really don't want to, because you're the winner of it, but I can't be biased. I still have to talk about it. So everybody talked about their favorite card that was revealed from the Chapter 4 news, and Aerial Sonic Warrior is on top currently.
Because of course it is, because it was the best card revealed.
Steel Song is making a really, really strong comeback these days too, as of late, and that's just gonna make it even more busted. So that's what we need is Steel Song coming back in the meta and getting more busted as we go along.
I would assume second place to your credit is Mulan, though.
Second place is Mulan. We have 43% with Aerial Sonic Warrior, 29% with Mulan Elite Archer, and then Super Goof and Playful Sorcerer are both at 14%. So. We're getting there though. We still that's only like that episode's only been out for I think 5-6 days now.
Mm-hmm.
5 days actually, yeah. So hopefully we get some more votes in before then, and Mulan can pass Ariel.
I mean, come on, you even have to admit Ariel's the better card.
Ariel? No, I don't think she's necessarily better. Is she a fantastic card? Sure, but I honestly we've talked about this too. We have to see what comes out from the rest of the set to really make a final decision there, but. We'll get into that as more set 4 announcements come out. So, that's the only really thing I wanted to cover, because I think it gives a gauge. You can definitely see a lot of trends forming into some of these things, and so seeing that trend is definitely interesting. And like I said, especially with Steel Song coming back in strong form these last probably 6 or 7 days, has really started to make a strong comeback. So. Yeah, just what we need is more strong Steel Song to continue on the hype train there. But yeah, so that's, again, no direct comment from anybody, but I wanted to shout out that the people that participate in the polls on Spotify. If you're listening, you can look at all of the social stuff that we add to each episode and do it through there. But that said, card of the week. We also have to talk about a card of the week.
Is that on me? Or is it you?
I think it's on you.
Okay.
But that said, I also think we're getting into the organized play stuff, and so I thought, and I hadn't even discussed this with you, we're doing this live here, that we can just pick any card, like set 1 through 3, and talk about the importance as we kind of roll into organized play stuff, because I think we need to start having a little bit of a, an overview on that as we get into it. The more tips and tricks we can give people, I think the better. So
So any card we've ever talked about is allowed.
I think any card set 1 through 3 we can go.
So I think there's a few obvious ones, but I'm gonna talk about one that I think we even did as a card of the week, but I think it's still a little underappreciated, and I'll bring it up. It might not. I bet it's not one ones that comes to mind, but it's gonna be Merlin Crab. Actually, I'd like to
I
bring
think
up,
we did do that one at some point,
but
but
it's gained a lot of
it's
traction
yeah.
since then.
I don't. Well, maybe we didn't do it as card of the week. I think we just talked about it
Sure.
as importance for taking down locations. But Merlin
Sure.
Crab is an incredibly annoying card these days.
So I want to bring this up here. We'll talk about it. It's a 3-cost inkable, 3 strength, 3 willpower, quest for 1, and then has ability ready or not when you play this character, and when he leaves play, chosen character gains challenger +3 this turn. So obviously, we saw it towards the end of chapter 2 in the Ruby Amethyst control decks.
Yeah, he's the Amethyst part of the bounce package. Merlin, obviously, but yeah, he's gotten really important with the locations.
With the locations, it's become really important along with Maui's Fishhook. Really important location removal cards.
Yeah, especially for those inks because you don't have a ton to be able to remove locations, and so yeah, I mean, or Amethyst really in particular. Ruby has Maui, but Amethyst doesn't have much of anything aside from Crab. So Crab plus Fox equals bad time for locations.
And I'll mention this here. One of the reasons I did bring it up is we haven't got a location revealed from chapter 4 yet.
Yeah, good
So
synergy.
we have no idea what kind of willpower cost anything we're looking at here. So location removal could become even more important.
Yeah, I want to see more wide location removal, like a grab your swords for locations, but we'll see if that ever happens or not. But yeah, Merlin Crab's a great one. I think not only that, I think obviously taking down bigger bodies. I think it's seen a lot of play with like your 1 or 2 cost cards, like a Cusco Llama. You can pump him up and have him go into a bigger body and trade positively, and then get a card off of it. And so I think there's a lot of creative ways you can use Crab. I think it was very underappreciated in chapter 2, and it's definitely seeing the light it deserves these days.
I mean, I think the only Merlin card that will never see play is Squirrel, but who knows? Maybe one day it will.
I mean, you have the actual like Merlin Sorcerer too, which maybe
Shapeshifter.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't remember the exact subtext, but yeah, maybe he does, maybe they don't. But anyways, all of the animal forms are definitely up there. But yeah, no, I think that's a fantastic one to start with. I think if you are still on the Ruby Amethyst train, that's a really important one to get very good with. Because it can really catch your opponent off guard and really create some positive trades for your board position.
And it's not only good for locations; it can help you in any situation.
No, that's what I mean. Like the Cusco, pumping up a Cusco Llama into another opponent, you have a really positive trade there.
Yeah,
so.
it's I love the card. I think it's underappreciated, but
I kind of do too.
That's card of the week.
Okay, yeah, I like it. Okay, so news. What's on our mind? League recap. I hate to be a broken record, but what's on my mind is Stitch. Enchanted, Stitch, Playmat, and organized set store championships. We now have all of our local stores' dates set. We know when they're going to be, and I'm ready. I'm so getting hyped and in the zone.
All right. Well, I'm going to transition from that into mine, which they kind of go hand in hand for my news and thoughts. As you know, I am a Ruby Amethyst control player, and it has been seeing a dip in the meta recently.
Yep.
Which
Ruby Amethyst isn't even really control anymore. It's like honestly like a little, because everything is sped up so much. Like most of the Ruby Amethyst control tools are kind of gone. Like Big Body Ursula from Amethyst Chapter 1 gone, Elsa gone. Aladdin Heroic Outlaw gone. Maleficent Monstrous Dragon pretty much gone.
I mean, that was to be fair, that was gone beginning of chapter 3, end of chapter 2. Those were
Monstrous Dragon wasn't. Elsa or Ursula wasn't.
That's fair.
I mean, so but anyways, yes, continue. It's definitely falling from graces a little bit.
So honestly, I'm really into the competitive side as you are. I want to hopefully get a Stitch. So I am trying to figure out what I'm going to do here. I've got some tough decisions to make. I have my playset of Ursula's, so I've thought of that as a consideration doing tempo, which isn't strong either at the moment. Isn't super strong.
Making a little bit of a comeback.
Making a
But
comeback.
I think the red dime, as I'm calling it these days, Ruby Sapphire Dime decks has sped up the play so much because
Mhm.
they have 4 or 5 turns where they don't really do anything, just ramping to get to their board state.
Yeah,
And so yeah, if you can speed up and get to 8 or 10 lore before they can get to be prepared, then you're in a really good shot.
absolutely. Um, so I think that's just my news, my thoughts, because
Yeah,
I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do.
no, I'm kind of in the same boat where I don't fully know what I'm gonna play yet.
But you're in
I
a better boat. I'll tell you that. You're in
well,
a better boat, I think.
the difference is that I just play around with a ton of stuff all the time, and so that I have just a little bit more experience on other decks. But that being said, I don't have a final decision yet, and I need to get to one because I want to get in a place where I feel really comfortable with it, even if it maybe not be the best deck ever. I want it to be very comfortable going into the
Mhm.
matchup so that I feel strongly about it. And that said, I started logging all my matches.
Yes, you did.
If
Very
I
impressive.
go first or second, if what deck I'm playing, what my opponent is playing, and if I win or lose, so that I can understand where my weaknesses are, so that I can learn why I'm losing to certain decks. And I say all of that because someone asked on X if Zach Bivens had any tips for players on what they can do to practice to be better. And the basic summary of what he said is practice with a purpose and like really try to iterate and don't just go out there and play and not understand, which I think I've gotten in the mode the last probably month of just like
Mhm.
playing and not really analyzing. And so if you're in the boat that we are and you really want to be in a competitive spot to win these stitch cards, like go out there and when you play, like understand why you're winning, understand why you're losing, you know analyze your moves, analyze the deck, and like truly really be focused on the game and not just like playing so that you can try to get better.
And to that point, I really think it does help to go to like league or something like that with a friend or play against a friend because you can kind of catch up after after you've done your matches and like, hey, I don't think I think card draw was a problem here. I think I inked the wrong cards. You
Yeah,
can go over with your.
we talked about that Tuesday actually.
Yes, we did.
So
So I think that's a big help into that point.
yeah, for sure. Anytime you can play the same matchup over and over and over, then you can get more comfortable with that matchup and learn the different lines that might come up and
Especially if
everything
it's
like
a
that.
meta matchup.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, again, that's what's on our minds is stitch, practice, and like really try to get into a good spot to get the cards and the playmats. So, yeah, I think that's all there is for that, and I think it's time to get into it because we got a bunch of cards to go through. Some of these I think will probably be pretty quick because um, they're lower tier and haven't seen much play, and so it's probably not worth spending a ton of time on them.
Mhm.
But that said,
Can I ask you a question real quick
go for
before we get into this? How many S tiers do you have in mind?
it. One, two, three, three or four,
I have four.
three or four.
I have four. So
Yeah,
we'll get into that.
probably, yeah. I don't know. Honestly, I could go anywhere from 3 to 5. Actually, probably.
Okay. Well, then we'll get into that.
Okay. These are in no particular order. They are grouped by ink, and I do want to start with amber as we usually do, even though that's not like first on the list down here. But we're going to start with amber.
Okay.
So that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it. First on the list here for amber is "Be Our Guest," which is the first song in amber. The "Be Our Guest" song, again, quick reminder, is the 2-cost inkable from chapter 1. It says, look at the top 4 cards of your deck. If you may reveal a character card and put that into your hand. The rest go to the bottom of your deck in any order. So it basically lets you shuffle through your deck like for characters, like Ariel lets you do for songs from chapter 1. So this definitely saw some good play in chapter 1, a little bit in chapter 2. I think it's probably fallen off. I think it's a decent one. I don't think it has a ton of utility. I think they're like with the new Tinkerbell card from chapter 3 that has essentially the same ability. I think that's a little more important because you get a character on the board.
But it's not useless though.
No, definitely not useless. I think it's fallen. If we had done this in chapter 1, I'd probably put A tier. But I don't. I think it's probably fallen. Where are you thinking on this?
B or C.
I was thinking the same thing. So like maybe
you know what? I think B is gonna get really.
I was gonna say maybe we start high C tier and like go from there. Okay, we'll keep it in chapter 1. Again, I know these aren't in like necessarily like chapter order in here, but we have Hakuna Matata from chapter 1, the 4-cost inkable. that says remove up to 3 damage from each of your characters.
So there's not really a problem with the card itself. The problem with this card is healing in the game of Lorcana, and I think that that's where this card. I mean, it's you read it, it's like wow, that's pretty powerful. But I think that's where most of the problem comes from is the use of healing in Lorcana.
I think it's just really slow. Like I think if you're spending a 4-cost character to heal, you know, then you've probably got a ton of big bodies on your board because like the most impactful interaction I can see you doing this from is after somebody just used grab your sword. But if that's the case, then they're probably getting ready to wipe your board anyways. And so again, I think there are just so many like little fine details that make this not quite as strong as it necessarily could be. At the surface, it seems really good, but I don't think it's super strong. What are you thinking on this one?
Low C because
I was in the same boat. I don't even really have to
because I'm saving D for like useless actions.
Yeah, I agree. I'm in the same boat. Okay, last Amber song from chapter 1. We have Part of Your World. Return a character.
It's a 3-cost uninkable.
Yeah, 3-cost uninkable. Thank you. Return a character card from your discard to your hand, which is basically what Hades does from chapter 1. So Hades has basically played in the place of this since the very beginning of the game. So again, I don't think this is like necessarily D tier because it could be really useful. But again, I think if you're trying to cover this type of tactic, then you're probably playing Hades. This is uninkable. Hades is uninkable. Hades is a character on the board.
This is not.
Yeah, I just think Hades is a little better. So is this D tier or is this C tier too?
Okay, so move.
I think this
move Be Our Guest up to B and then move this to C.
I'm in the same boat. That works out. Okay, that covers Amber chapter 1. So let's keep going in Amber and move on to chapter 2. We've got 2 or 3 again in Amber from chapter 2. The first one being Painting the Roses Red, which is choose up to 2 characters.
2-cost inkable.
God, man, you're really saving me here. 2-cost inkable in Amber. Choose up to 2 characters. Get -1 strength this turn. Draw a card. I think the fact that it replaces itself
that
alone makes it better than D tier for sure.
But it's low C.
Okay, I was kind of like, yeah, I maybe would have hedged to B, which I know is crazy to say, but I think anytime a card replaces itself, like it's worth looking at.
Yeah, I understand that, but why have this in your deck if it's just you're using it to replace itself? Like that
but it's also a song if you're playing flute. Like it was big in chapter 2 for a little bit because of the flutes. So if you're singing it, it's replacing itself, and maybe it gives you a positive impact in a trade. I don't know.
I'll keep it. I don't think it deserves to be.
That's fine.
It doesn't deserve to be, I think.
Okay, World's Greatest Criminal Mind. 3-cost inkable, I remembered. Banish chosen character with 5 strength or more.
Okay, so this is a interesting card with like synergy wise. Like there's lots of like you can up your opponent's strength with certain cards that gives it a little bit of bonus points. It's kind of hard to do, so I'm not going to give it like huge points for that. But overall, to me, it's B.
I was gonna say, okay, we're like on the same wavelength today because it's definitely B, and the reason, but I will say that B with the caveat of this is a very meta-based card. In chapter 2, it was really strong at the beginning because you saw a ton of Cinderella Stout-Hearted, you saw a ton of Monstrous Dragons, you saw a ton of Mauis, and with all those big body characters, you had a ton of importance to play this. And then going into the end of chapter 2, you saw a bunch of like Beast Tragic Heroes and things that were under 5 to shift away from this being able to be played on you. And so now you're like reversing that again because you have Madame Medusa that's keeping people's threshold above 3 strength. You have Tamatoa, Cinderella Stout-Hearted's coming back in the meta a ton. And so I think it's like very meta-based being what's unplayed. But that said, I definitely agree. I think it's probably a solid B tier.
High B, yeah.
Okay, Zero to Hero, the final Amber chapter 2. 2-cost inkable. Count the number of characters you have in play. You pay that amount of ink less for the next character you play this turn. I think initially, like we were both pretty high on this card, and there's so many like prerequisites.
Did you say the ink cost?
Yeah, I said 2-cost inkable. Yeah,
uninkable.
Yeah, uninkable. There are just too many prerequisites for this to like really go off. Like you have to have probably 2 or 3 ink already, so you can play a bigger body. But then you have to have a couple characters on board, and you have to have somebody sing it. I think like on the surface it's fine, but I think that again there's just so many things that have to like be lined up for this to get the max value. And at that point, I don't know, maybe you get out of Chernabog, and that Chernabog just gets, I don't know, be prepared it or something. And so I think just if you play a Chernabog and it gets taken off by direct removal, that's fine. But if you have to go through all those prerequisites to get it out, and then it just goes through direct removal, then it just feels a lot worse to me.
Low C, high D.
Okay, we'll go. I feel really bad about putting this one in D tier because it has been played. Where I think basically D tier is like anything that just like hasn't been played. That's fair. Like our next card, moving on to Chapter 3, Amber. We have Heal What Has Been Hurt. The 3-cost inkable. Remove up to 3 damage from chosen character. Draw a card. Oh man, it replaces itself.
3-cost inkable. It costs 3. I'm putting it in D. D. We got to throw it in D.
Because it replaces itself. Putting that in D tier like hurts my heart.
But it's a 3-cost.
I know. I'm putting it in D. I just don't feel good about it.
The art is incredible. That's an A tier art.
The art is incredible. I love the golden glow from Rapunzel's hair there. Okay, but that being said, we are getting to the last song of Amber songs.
And it's a spicy one.
2-cost inkable, Bare Necessities.
Chosen opponent reveals their hand and discards a non-character card of your choice. This is a easy S tier, in my opinion.
Yeah, we just had this as part of our like top card tier list from Chapter 3, and it was in the S tier.
It was actually our highest card in that.
Was Steel Song coming back too? I've played quite a bit of Steel Song in some of the games I've been practicing with this last week. It is annoying as all could be because it's way worse than the Ursulas. Mm-hmm. Because Ursula you can kind of mulligan against because if you're playing Ruby, you just get rid of your Be Prepared, you get rid of whatever. If you're playing Steel, you get rid of your Whole New World and you get ready to ramp into it. With this, you have to get they're going to take something. You're going to have an item, you're going to have a song, you're going to have a location, something most likely because you can't mulligan it all away and end up with characters. Like it's going to hit something, and when it does, it has the ability to take out whatever it needs that helps you most, whether it be a location or a song or an action or an item or whatever. Like it's going to remove that, and so it's so strong, and it gives you info into what your opponent's next turn is going to look like.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think there's more as an easy S tier. You don't really have to think about it.
Yeah, timed correctly.
Yeah,
that's the best card in the game almost. And again, I'm saying the caveat of timed correctly because if you play it wrong, it doesn't get you much value. But if you play it right, it wins you games.
Absolutely.
So okay, so quick Amber recap here. We have 1 S tier, Beer Necessities, which we just talked about. No A tier. In B tier, we have World's Greatest Criminal Mind and Be Our Guest. In C tier, we have Hakuna Matata, a part of your world, Painting the Roses Red, 0 to Hero. And in D tier, wrapping it up, we've unfortunately got Heal What Has Been Hurt. Okay, I feel pretty good about that.
I feel pretty good about that. All right, we go into Amethyst here.
We're going to Amethyst.
All right, well, this is gonna be an interesting.
Starting with set 1 again, we've got 2 cards. We've got Friends on the Other Side, the 3-cost inkable. I think the card that everybody knows.
Yeah, it draws 2 cards.
Draws 2 cards. Yep. What are you thinking here?
S tier.
No, see,
no. I'm sorry. This is S tier, dude.
A tier.
This
A
is
tier.
No.
You're telling me it's on the same tier as Bare Necessities?
Yes. Yeah. 100%. This is one of the quintessential song cards.
From Chapter 1. We're in Chapter 3 now.
Chapter 1, 2, and 3.
We're in Chapter 3 now. Oh man.
This is S tier.
No shot.
Low S tier is fine.
You're telling me okay. We'll put I'll do this for you. We're gonna put this low S tier, and when we have the other rest of the cards in S tier filled out, you tell me if it belongs in the same boat as those.
Okay, I will tell you why it does.
Okay, that's fair. I will fight to the grave that this deserves to be A tier. I'll let you win it for now, and we'll come back to it.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, and then the last song from Chapter 1 is the 1-cost inkable Reflection. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck, put them back on the top of your deck in any order. We just throwing this in D tier real quick.
I'm throwing it in D.
And calling it good.
Did you say, I'm sorry. You saw the cost?
Yeah, I did. I'm getting better about it.
Okay, you got it.
I mean, just there's nothing really to say, right? Like, it's just a D tier. And
yeah, easy.
Okay, so that finishes
Amethyst
Chapter 1.
It can help if you're playing certain cards that are not seeing play. Like, I mean, if you're playing Sorcerer's Hat.
I was going to say, like, Sorcerer's Hat, maybe.
But that's not seeing play, so.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Okay, moving on to Chapter 2 Amethyst. Gruesome and Grim, the 3-cost uninkable. I said it. Play a character with 4 costs or less for free. They gain Rush. At the end of the turn, banish them. I mean, this honestly to me is the worst song in the game. Like, this is an easy D tier.
Yeah, 100%.
We're still in the same boat here. That has no redeeming qualities to me. Like, if it didn't say banish them at the end of the turn, like, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe there's some weird world with like Facilier kind of recursion where it like you banish them and it goes back to your hand, and so it's like not the end of the world. But
so,
like again, I just see like there's no world today where this is like even remotely good.
I've seen this played one time, and I actually really like the combo. It was with Prince Eric from Chapter 3, which was a really cool combo. But still,
that actually is a decent combo.
But it's an even better combo is Teeth and Ambitions plus Eric.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting combo. I think that's its one redeeming quality.
I think it has potential, but again, the banish that just makes it really, really bad. But okay, anyways, moving on. So those are the 2 from Chapter 2 that we've got in Amethyst, and moving on to Chapter 3. We've got. Oh wait, no, sorry, I skipped the second one in Chapter 2. I'm completely moving on. We've also got Legend of the Sword and the Stone from Chapter 2 Amethyst. That is the 2-cost inkable. Chosen character gains Challenger +3 this turn. I think this one's okay, but we already talked about Crab for our card of the week. I think
this is just a better crab.
Yeah,
or a worse crab.
Yeah, Crab's just better because you can do it twice when you're bouncing on and off. Then you have a character on board, like we talked about, is always a little more important. I don't think it's D tier, but it's definitely not.
So don't ask me about this card because I'm super biased against it because this is my favorite song in all of Disney.
Here, we'll put it atop of C tier then.
Thank you. Does it deserve top of C? You know what? It does. It's not bad.
just for you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're moving on to Chapter 3 Amethyst. We have the 1-cost inkable. It Calls Me from Moana, and it says draw a card, then choose up to 3 cards from chosen opponent's discard and shuffle them into your deck. I actually had this used against me for the first time yesterday.
And this is a sick card because it replaces itself, like you said, for a 1-cost inkable.
But does it do anything aside from that?
So choose up to 3 cards from your chosen opponent's discard and shuffle them into their deck.
The way that this was used against me was to keep me from finding a whole new world so that I couldn't wheel my opponent.
So that's an interesting play. It's like
it did work. I mean, I hate to admit this because it was a terrible deck, but I lost the game. So I don't know. I think it's got to be D tier. Like
I don't think it's D. I think it's high D, low C.
Okay, I'll put it at the absolute lowest C.
High D. You know what? We got to fill D out a little bit.
Okay,
high D.
We'll go D. Okay, last Amethyst. We're moving to the Bosses on a Roll, the 3-cost inkable. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Put them on the top or bottom of your deck in any order. Gain 1 lore. Again, like
I really like this card. So it's not seeing a ton of play. It is seeing a few decks played.
Like
high C.
High C? I mean, I'm in between the C and D again. Like
for this one?
Yeah, I don't see, like, it's just so slow. Like, there's so many other things that you could be doing in place of this. Like, if you need to shuffle your deck, or if you're needing to like dig to find something, then there are so much better options. Like, I get that you can put them in any order and you can like move cards to the bottom or the top of your deck, and there's a little bit of like ability there that you aren't getting it anywhere else. But no, So
I understand that. That's helpful. But the key thing here is the gain 1 lore.
Play a spellbook.
Sing twice with Ursula. Gain 2 lore.
Play a spellbook.
But this is guaranteed. You don't like.
Where do you want to put it?
Mid C.
Mid C. Oh, you are crazy. I don't know.
We're really discussing this card.
I know.
Bosses on a Roll.
I know. Okay, we're moving on. Okay, Amethyst. We're done with Amethyst. Jake somehow snuck this into S tier with Friends on the Other Side. And then we're moving on to C tier for the rest of for more on Amethyst.
So we skipped A and B.
Yeah, with no Amethyst in A and B. We've got The Legend of the Sword and the Stone and the Bosses on a Roll. in C tier, and then it calls me Reflection and Gruesome and Grim in D tier, which is crazy to think like Amethyst is like the spell, ink,
Yeah.
and like all their spells are like terrible.
Except the
So
one S tier.
it's an A tier, but we'll get to that later. Okay. That being said, we are moving on to Emerald.
I have a feeling we're gonna fight about this one.
I don't know. We might. We'll see. Okay. First two in chapter 1, we've got Mother Knows Best. The 3-cost, uninkable, return chosen character to their player's hands. Just give me your tier.
A tier.
Okay, I'm in the same boat.
Okay.
I don't know. I part of me wants to put it in B because
No. It's A. It's very deserving of A.
But it's uninkable. It's uninkable. If it was inkable, I would 100%.
But here's the thing with songs though. Uninkable and inkable in songs is much different than it is in other cards. Because you're playing it for free. I think it's much different.
But I would disagree because even though you could potentially be playing it for free, if you need ink and it's not inkable, then that hurts you. And 2, if you're singing it for free, then you're also losing a card, and so then you're putting yourself even more to play more cards, and so you've got to have either a bunch of card draw to replace it or other inkable cards behind it. And so I think being inkable songs makes it even more like important. But anyways, I digress. A was initially my thought too. I just think it's very narrow-sighted because you're not going to want to use this on a Tinkerbell Giant Fairy. You're not going to want to use this on any of the direct removal like Madame Medusa or Lady Tremaine. You're not going to want to do this on Dragonfire. You're not going to want to do this on a lot of those on-playability characters. And so that limits the places where it has impact. Right?
It does.
Okay, I'm taking the initiative on this one and dropping down to B for now. Again, I could be swayed to move that one back up to A when we finish, but for now, we're doing with that. However, moving on to the second Emerald Chapter 1 song, Sudden Chill, the 2-cost inkable that says each opponent chooses and discards a card.
This is A.
Yes. Chapter 1, this was like C. Chapter 2, this was probably B. Chapter 3, this is definitely A. I think there's a lot of discard synergies now, and especially with Ursula being able to sing twice, it can really catch you off guard if you're not ready for it. Discard a card. Like, there's not much to say. It's just, very disruptive.
This one, I like this one a lot.
It's a good card. It's really annoying. I think it hurts me because it is so annoying to get played against you that I don't like putting it that high, but it deserves it. Okay, so that's really quickly Emerald Chapter 1, so we can move on to only one in Emerald Chapter 2, which is Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo. One of my initially most favorite cards of the set, the 3-cost uninkable that says return chosen character of yours to your hand and play another character with the same cost or less for free.
So here, I really like it. Like I like it.
I really do. I do like it a ton, and there are a ton of creative ways that people have figured out to play this, like Lucifer, like playing Lucifer, and then the next turn singing Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo with Lucifer and playing Lucifer again to potentially discard 4
and that's
cards.
where it comes in play the most
nutty.
is playing a on playability twice.
Yes,
that's where it's in the most. I mean, you can also use it to heal. It's very versatile, I think.
I think it's a great card too. I think it's very dependent on the deck though. Again, because it alone by itself doesn't do much. If you think about like Sudden Chill by itself does a lot.
No, like if
Bare Necessities by itself does a lot.
If you play this, if you have no cards in play and you play this, it does absolutely nothing.
Yeah, so I don't know, like high B.
Yes,
I would like to put it
A,
but I think it just there's some requirements again that go into it being effective.
And like I don't feel like I really want to put it high B. I don't feel comfortable doing it there for one reason, because it doesn't see play a ton, and that's my one caveat. Like it. I just love the card so much.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Like low B, I would even say, just because it's not seeing play.
Okay, we'll move it. We'll move it below. I don't think it sees that much less than World's Greatest Criminal Mind.
I think Criminal Mind sees more.
Maybe a little bit. I'm leaving it right there.
Okay.
Because I think
I just love
I think
it so
there's
much.
a shot Mother Knows Best gets moved up, and then at which point it can stay C or B. Okay, moving on to Chapter 3. Emerald songs. We're starting with Has My Heart. I don't know if I did that right.
Has set my heart. You missed a word.
God, I went off on a limb to do that, and then I botched it. The 2-cost inkable. Um, Banish chosen item. I'm kind of shocked this doesn't see any play.
Yeah, because
Spellbooks, flutes, lucky dime,
well,
popsicle.
here's the reason. Because most of the decks that are playing those item cards, except Popsicle, are playing 1 to 2 copies. So maybe you play 1 to 2 copies of this. You don't. I mean, I'm not sure.
I think this isn't being played because people are playing Sudden Chill and Ursula and Bucky, and so the songs are the items are getting discarded before they're even on the board. Like, if you get Sudden Chill played against you, you're probably discarding your Lucky Dime early game, because it's not going to do anything anyway. So that's my take. That being said, it might not be a bad idea to have like 2 copies in there in case they do late game get a Lucky Dime down, and you need to do something with it.
I want to put this in B. I do.
No, I think it's never been used.
High C will be.
I was gonna say C.
Okay,
I was gonna say C because it definitely has some utility.
High C.
We'll go like right there.
Okay, that's fine. Which we're putting it like 3rd in C.
Yeah. Second Emerald Chapter 3 song is the 1 cost inkable I Will Find My Way. Chosen character of yours gets +2 strength this turn. They may move to a location for free.
D.
Yeah. That's fine. I was thinking C for like a half second, but yeah, that's fine. It is what it is. It's terrible.
I will find my way. It's a perfect song.
Strike a good match. Last Emerald song, the 2 cost inkable from Chapter 3. Draw 2 cards, then choose and discard a card.
So this saw play at the beginning of Tempo.
Still sees a little
bit of play, but it saw a lot of play at the beginning.
If you're playing like Emerald, Amethyst, like there's not a ton of like song card options, especially with Ursula. This is a good one. Obviously, I think you're gonna want a Friends more than you're gonna want to use this. If you're playing Emerald Steel Tempo,
Emerald Amethyst Friends.
Yeah, that's why I said it first. But if you're playing Emerald Steel Tempo, then you're don't have a ton of card draw outside of A Whole New World, and that you want to wheel on very selective terms, and so this can help you get there a little bit. I think it's okay.
Number 2 and B.
I was definitely saying B. I was gonna say,
but it's getting so much more play than the other 3.
Okay, that's fine.
So just swap number 2 and B.
Number 2 and B. Okay. So shockingly, Emerald has a lot of good songs. We've got to recap all the Emerald stuff now that we're done with that ink. We've got Sudden Chill in A tier. We've got Mother Knows Best in B tier. We've got Strike a Good Match in B tier. And finally, rounding out B tier, we've got Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo. In C tier, we have Has Set My Heart. In D tier, we have I Will Find My Way, which is really unfortunate because it is a great song too. Yeah, but that's the most consistently good song ink.
All right, I've come to a conclusion. You could put Friends down in A. But I'm winning another one.
I didn't have to do it. He caved. We win.
But it's the highest A tier.
Well, we're moving on to Ruby, and the first one we have that from the Ruby in Chapter 1, which is the only one, is Be Prepared.
All right, at high S.
Which, for those who don't know Be Prepared, you must be new to the game. It's the 7 cost uninkable banish all characters.
Highest S tier.
It's obviously S tier.
The highest S tier.
I think it's probably...
We're going to get into it. We're
definitely going to get into it at the end of it, for sure. We won't argue about it right now.
I'm saying highest S tier.
It's definitely top 3 songs in the game. Definitely top 3 songs.
Yeah, it is. Number 1.
Okay, that's the only Ruby Chapter 1 song. Shockingly, we have 4 in Chapter 2. Which again, you don't really think of Ruby as like a song ink, but
it is.
But apparently it is. So starting off in Chapter 2, Ruby, we've got the 2 cost inkable, Go the Distance. Ready chosen damaged character of yours. They can't quest for the rest of this turn. Draw a card. We actually, you were just looking over my shoulder as this was played against me, and I had no idea what happened. But I think it's okay. I think it's not D tier.
So when I think of this, I think of a better Fan the Flames from Chapter 1.
Yeah, but you had with the caveat of being damaged already, and so Fan the Flames. Yeah,
I didn't miss that.
Probably is this D or C? I mean, I don't think we need to spend a ton of time on it.
D.
Okay.
The damage,
Yeah,
damage thing at turn 2 is huge.
I'm fine with that. I'll put like pretty high D tier. I mean I think it's okay. It replaces itself, so that could like lend it to going into to C tier, but it is what it is. Okay. Moving on to Teeth and Ambitions, which is pretty high up there. Well, spoiler alert: the 2-cost Inkable, deal 2 damage to chosen character of yours to deal chosen damage to 2 character
to deal
or
2
to
damage
to deal 2 damage to another chosen character.
Yep.
You mentioned it on the Prince Eric synergy. You saw a ton of this in Chapter 2 play. We're seeing a little bit more of this return now. This was a very meta-defining card because the 1/3s were like outrunning rampant because of Teeth and Ambitions.
So, can I ask? I want to put my foot in the door here because as a Ruby Amethyst player, this has been seeing a drop out of decks really recently.
I'm saying it's coming back. It was dropped completely at the beginning of Chapter 3, and now it's starting to trickle back in.
I'm saying in the past like 6 to 7 days, it's been seeing a drop off.
Maybe. I think it's been really low comparatively to Chapter 2, regardless. So,
I'm thinking high B.
I was gonna say A. I think this is like a meta-defining card because people play around it.
It wasn't Chapter 2,
but people. Wow, I'm throwing things. Correct. I mean, in Chapter 2 it was, but in Chapter 3, it's still important. There's just I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to convince myself when I don't even really like think it. I mean, I'm fine with putting it like top of.
You're gonna put it on the same tier as Friends.
I think. I mean, at the current state, no, I guess not. But at its peak, like it was.
But we're not basing cards off peak.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Okay. Moving on to the next one in Chapter 2, we have the most diabolical scheme: 3-cost uninkable. Banish chosen villain character of yours to banish chosen character.
So I'm gonna put a C for this one because I can see use. I was
gonna say B. I was gonna say like low B. Yeah, shocking. I think this can really catch people off guard.
Here's the problem with putting it B. I have B as all playable cards that have seen play.
It has seen a bunch.
Has
of
it? Okay,
yeah,
that's fair.
It was part of a bunch of Chapter 2 sets. I think now it doesn't see as much.
Low B.
Yeah, I was gonna go the lowest of B, like at the very end of B, but.
Okay.
I think it doesn't see as much anymore, but if you think on like Chapter 2, your Ursulas, your Maleficents, your Madame Mims, like it was basically a villain's deck, Ruby Amethyst.
I love that. That's great.
I think I can go. I think it's safe to be B.
Because there's low cost villains. So
yeah, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to You Can Fly, the 2-cost inkable from Chapter 2. Chosen character gains evasive until the start of your next turn.
So this one is really interesting because Chapter 2, towards the end, it's all good chunk of play, and then it got completely replaced in Chapter 3 by an item.
Yeah, I mean, Fishhook and RLS Legacy and Fang and like just there are other like better options. I don't think it's off. I don't think it's necessarily D tier, but it's definitely like C-tier. Low C, right?
Yeah, the thing is it did see a good chunk of play in Chapter 2.
I think it's fine. I don't think it's great, but okay, so that finishes
but
out.
Like here's the thing, Zach. It saw more play than the other cards in Chapter C in C tier.
I didn't see a ton. I wouldn't say it was more than 0 to Hero. Maybe more than Painting the Roses Red. Definitely more than Legend of the Sword and the Stone. I mean, more than Hakuna Matata, but Hakuna Matata saw a ton in Chapter 1. I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's definitely low C though, right?
C, we have really weird order, but we'll go with it.
I'll move it up a little bit just to make you feel better.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the last one. We've only got one song in Chapter 3. I've Got a Dream, the 2-cost inkable. Ready chosen character of yours at a location. They can't quest for the rest of this turn. Gain lore equal to the location's lore. I mean, we just like dropping it in D and calling it good. I'm moving Reflection to the end of D tier as well, just since we're on the subject here.
All right. Sounds good.
I think that one has potential, but again, there's just so many caveats to make it work. So
yep.
Okay, finishing on Ruby. Quick recap: we have Be Prepared S tier. That's just pretty much a given. Mm-hmm. Teeth and Ambitions B tier. The most diabolical scheme, we have B tier as well. On C tier we have You Can Fly. On D tier we have Go the Distance, and I've Got a Dream. So, yeah, Ruby isn't necessarily thought of as a song. Ink again, but I think between Be Prepared and Teeth and Ambitions, like it's got some
Got a
decent
good
options.
chunk.
So,
Yeah.
okay, moving on to Sapphire. Chapter 1, first song we've got is Let It Go, which I think is going to become more iconic with the challenge circuit enchanted prize card.
Which could you imagine Let It Go becoming more iconic as a song?
It's tough to believe, but Let It Go, I think this has got to be a solid A tier, right?
Okay.
It's not. I don't think it's S.
No, it's in my opinion, it's B behind Teeth and Mother
shot.
Knows Best.
No shot. It's direct removal. I understand. I understand it goes in their inkwell. I understand that.
But a character does its job better. Hades.
But it's inkable. I think the fact that it's inkable and it's direct removal. Like, inkable direct removal is not anything else you can come by. Like, give me another song that's inkable direct removal.
But you're ramping your opponent. You're ramping your opponent.
I don't care. Like, if I'm playing this, I'm playing it in a pinch, and I need to get rid of a threat. And if I'm getting rid of a threat, I don't care if they have one.
So you play this turn 6, turn 5. Your opponent gets to play Be Prepared earlier.
I don't play this turn 6, turn 5. I play this turn 8 or 9.
Okay.
If I need if I need removal on turn 5 or 6, I'm playing Along Came Zeus, which we'll get to in a minute.
All right. Low A though. It is the lowest A.
I honestly, I think there's a world where it's above Friends, but I don't want you to have a heart attack.
No world is below. No.
I think there are so many better card draw options now. Friends just has such a place in your heart because you've played it for so long now, and it's still relevant. But it's not the most important relevant part. We'll get to it. Let's finish this up, and then we'll have the fun discussions at the end. Let It Go, A tier. Also in chapter 1, Sapphire, we have one jump ahead, the 2-cost uninkable. Put top card of your deck into your inkwell face down and exerted. I don't know. What's your initial thought? Just give me your initial thought.
Low B.
I was going to say mid B. So
okay.
I think it's good. I think it definitely has like a tempo problem.
Because it was for the longest time, it was so important in its deck. It was so important.
It definitely has it. There are definitely lists right now. The red dime, the ruby sapphire dime deck that play it. But I think it's just so slow. Like, if you're taking an entire turn early just to do that, there are much better ways to do it.
Yeah.
So I think it's good. I think it definitely, to your point, has its importance in like the ramp. But yeah, I just don't think it's like fantastic by any means. And it's uninkable, which is hard to come over. Okay, there's only one Sapphire song in chapter 2, and that is 4 Dozen Eggs, the 4-cost inkable. Your characters gain resist +2 until the start of your next turn. I mean, on the surface, like, this should be pretty good, but in practice, it's what, a D tier? I mean,
yeah, because if an item did this, it'd be incredible. But in action, doing this once,
I'm gonna put it like high D tier just because I think it's like has the most value out of all those Ds. Fair. But yeah, I don't know. In practice, I'd love to have this in my deck. But yeah, it's hard for me to like get over the hump of like a Cogsworth. So
that's true.
Okay, Friend Like Me. Yeah, this one is tough too. Each player, 5-cost inkable. Each player puts the top 3 cards of their deck into their inkwell face down and exerted. This one ramps your opponent. Like that's all this does. It's just straight up ramps your opponent.
What? Oh my gosh.
You didn't even know what the card did.
I didn't know it was every player.
Yeah, it's both. It's both.
That's okay. I
don't know. I mean, again, I think there's a world where you can use this to like mill your opponent. Or if you build your deck around like having a ton of ink and your opponent doesn't, and so they can't really take advantage of it.
I think if you know that your opponent is playing a lot of different cards and playing like a 2-3 list of everybody, then this is helpful. But when is that ever helpful?
I know. Again, it's still D tier, right? Like, I think that that could be one that later down the line we like look back on him and like, oh, that's a pretty decent card actually. But for now, it's just D, right? Like, there's no way.
Yeah, if there's like a card that your opponent can't put cards into their inkwell or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. So D tier for that one. Moving on to the last Sapphire, we've got How Far I'll Go. 4 cost uninkable. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Put one into your hand and the other into your inkwell face down and exerted. This actually sees some decent play. I think this is B. I think it's not probably low B. We'll put like low mid B here.
Right behind Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo, I would say.
Oh, okay. I'm fine with that.
Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo is too high because it doesn't see any play, I think.
It sees some. It definitely sees a
Okay.
decent
All
amount,
right.
but definitely not as much as in chapter 2. Okay, getting on to the song ink, which is shocking to say, but it definitely is, because each one of these are going to like overall have the highest average of placement for sure. So first in chapter 1, Steel, we have A Whole New World.
So this is S.
So this is S tier.
5 cost, uninkable. Each player discards their hand and draws 7 cards.
Pretty straightforward. I mean, everybody, again, if you've played the game for a while, you should know A Whole New World / Wheel.
You know what it does.
Yeah. I mean, we'll come back to that one and talk about that when we talk about the rest of the S tier, S and A tier stuff. I mean, it's fantastic. It grants you a bunch of card draw. It gives you a bunch of opportunities to get out of sticky situations, to find cards when you need them. Pretty incredible.
Obviously, basically made its own deck in the Jafar deck.
Yeah, that too. Which is crazy to think. Okay. The second song in chapter 1, Steel, shockingly almost as good. 5 cost uninkable. Grab your sword.
Deal 2 damage to each opposing character. Also goes in S.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's probably low S. Like I could even see an argument for A tier. But yeah, I think S tier is pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on to chapter 2, Steel. We have 2 more. We have direct damage cards again. We have deal 2 damage to any chosen character, draw a card. I'm just jumping ahead. Let the Storm Rage on for 3 costs uninkable. Deal 2 damage, draw a card.
Deal 2 damage to chosen character, draw a card. A.
Yeah, I think so too. I think again it deals direct damage.
A behind friends. Or you know what? Highest A. Highest A is fine with me.
Highest A?
Highest A.
It replaces itself.
Yeah, 100% highest A.
Okay, we'll get back into it. I mean it's good. It's really good. I think Ursula makes it even better, obviously. Okay. Last chapter 2 Steel song, we have the 3 cost inkable this time, Strength of a Raging Fire. Deal damage to chosen character equal to the number of characters you have in play. So quick synopsis of that is if you have 2 characters in play, it does 2 damage. If you have 5 characters, it does 5 damage. What do you think?
A.
I think B. And hear me out, because I think it's okay. You can't give me that face. I think more times than not, you're either doing 2 or 3 damage, and so like on the surface, like it's fantastic, but in practice, it just doesn't always get the value that I think you would expect to get out of it. You're telling me it's as good as Sudden Chill and Friends?
It's as good as Sudden Chill and Let Go.
I don't think so.
Okay, if it's not A, it's highest B.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that. Okay, Along Came Zeus.
Chapter 3.
Chapter 3. Yeah, I'm jumping ahead because I'm looking at the screen. Okay, final song of all of the chapters and all the sets. 4 cost uninkable, then Along Came Zeus. Deal 5 damage to chosen character or location. Is this S tier? I think it is.
I wasn't thinking S.
I think it is.
I was thinking high A.
I think it's S.
This is
way better than Let the Storm Rage On. Way better. Way better. 1 more cost.
Okay,
3
but
more
I
damage.
think it's highest A.
I think it's S. Because you can do characters and locations. This takes out Maleficent, Monstrous Dragon.
You know what? That's fine.
Beast Tragic Heroes.
That's fine.
Takes out
It's
Tinkerbell.
S. That's fine. Put it S.
Okay, so we're done. Quick recap. Did we recap? We didn't recap Sapphire. Okay, quick recap of Sapphire since I forgot to do that. We have Let It Go at A tier. We have How Far I'll Go in B tier. 1 Jump Ahead B tier. And then in D tier, we've got 4 Dozen Eggs and Friend Like Me. To wrap up Steel, we've got Grab Your Sword, Along Came Zeus, and A Whole New World in S tier. 3 songs and 1 ink in S tier. That's nutty. Let the Storm Rage On in A tier. And then Strength of a Raging Fire in B tier. So everything is above B. That's
B or above.
bonkers. Or B or above, yeah. Which you have an argument to put it in A tier, so everything would be above B tier. But okay.
You argued against that, so
yeah, we've got Let's have at it.
S tier.
No, holding no punches. 5 minutes. Go.
Okay.
Is Be Prepared the best song?
Yes.
Better than A Whole New World?
Yes.
Why?
Tell me what you think. It's like, oh man, I'm gonna go wide here. This is fantastic. Oh wait, my opponent's playing Ruby. Can't go wide.
What if I have 3 locations on board and you want to be prep? Then what? Like, what if I've got 2 McDuck Manors?
If you're playing Ruby, you have all the tools to get rid of those locations.
But I could argue then that I have the tools to remove the tools that you have to get rid of those locations. So like you have to look at the merits on like level 1, not level 2, 3, 4.
Okay, so what are you putting above Be Prepared?
A Whole New World.
You're putting No, because Whole New World has a big negative. It does. It's really good, but it has a huge
Be Prepared
negative.
does too. Your characters get removed as well. It's not just the opponent's characters.
But if you're No.
Yes.
I agree with that. But it's not it's not below Whole New World. There's no way.
In my tier list, I think I'm putting Wheel 1. Spoiler alert, we're having a guest appearance from RMB, a professional Lorcana player, who's going to teach me how to use Wheel. And then following episode, or in an episode, and I think it actually might have already been out when this one goes live. But I'm going to ask him. I'm going to say, why is Wheel better than Be Prepared? He's going to tell me. And that's coming from a professional. So. All
right. Well, I am not a professional, and Be Prepared is the best card, best song.
I said this before we got started. I think the reason that you and I think it's the best song, or again, I'm not necessarily in that same boat, but I'm like looking above my own opinion, is that we're not good players, and so we need get out of jail free cards. We're not top tier.
We're not top tier, but
we're
I
not top tier,
good.
top 16 challenger level. So
no, but we're good.
We're decent.
We're good. We can give us a good.
Okay, we're good.
I'll give you a good.
We're good.
I'm a decent. You're a good.
I'm not putting myself above you. We're decent then. Anyways, the point is we need get out of jail free cards because we're not perfect. We make mistakes, and so when you make a mistake, you need to get out of jail free card and Be Prepared to get out of jail free card. If we were better and didn't make those mistakes, Be Prepared would have less impact. And so that's my argument for a Wheel being better because, it's better. But I also, Bare Necessities.
Bare Necessities doesn't go above those because
no,
that's what it's trying to remove.
It doesn't go above those. My argument was actually on if it should be at the lowest end of this, the lowest end of S tier.
I think I agree with that.
Okay, then I think it's great, but again, without those other cards,
which I would just like to clarify here, in our Chapter 3 best card tier list, we didn't have Along Came Zeus in S.
Did we not?
We didn't.
Dang. We're so bad, man.
We're so bad.
Yeah, I've been playing Along Came Zeus a lot in the past. When we recorded that, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the last 2 weeks, I've played a ton of Along Came Zeus, so that makes a lot of sense, actually.
I think we had it in B.
B?
I think we might have had it in B.
Oh my god, please tell me we didn't have it in B.
I'm looking.
Okay. So you're good with friends in A now? I don't have to convince you on that one?
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay. Yeah, I feel really good about this. Okay, so we'll go over again.
Okay, we had it 4th in A.
Okay, that's fine.
We had Along Came Zeus in 4th in A.
But I think that's okay because again, we're talking about I think in total cards. I think if we were to do the best cards of all 3 sets.
But we had Bare Necessities in the highest of S.
Okay, well let's fix our mistake then. There, we fixed our mistake. I think in a world where you are doing all cards, I think Along Came Zeus and Bare Necessities. Maybe Bare Necessities stays S. Along Came Zeus definitely goes to A, but those other ones
we had Bare Necessities above both Ursulas and Robin Hood.
I still think that's fair. Genuinely, I still think that's fair. I think Steel Song is in a terrible spot without Bare Necessities.
Okay.
Because there's so much need with all the ramp that there is out there right now that they would get so far behind and get B prepped and it would be over. So anyways, quick recap of where we are for if you're an audio listener on...
We're sorry.
yeah, hopefully this banter is at least fun for you. But quick recap of like the top 2 tiers and what we see the top cards in the game being. We have Be Prepared as top S tier. Jake says top card. I say most likely second. We have A Whole New World, Grab Your Sword, Bare Necessities, and Along Came Zeus rounding out S tier. And then in A tier, we have Let the Storm Rage On, Friends on the Other Side, Let It Go, and Sudden Chill. And then after that, it gets pretty wide with B, C, and D tier. I feel pretty good about this. I mean, you retroactively making me feel bad about our last tier list makes me not as strong about it. But
we're always going to feel bad about our last tier list.
That's probably true. But anyways, no, this was fun. I think this is a really good one. Hopefully that this again was entertaining, but also gives people some insight into some of these top cards that they may or may not be playing.
Absolutely.
Any final words before we wrap this one up?
Are we doing a legendaries tier list?
We probably should. I mean,
I like the idea of doing like categories of cards.
Yeah.
Tier list.
We'll try to get that one on the schedule. Okay. I think that's it, everyone. Thanks for listening. Let us know what your favorite song is. If you think Be Prepared or Wheel is better.
Is that going to be a Q&A in the...
Probably, yeah.
All right.
Probably. I mean, it's important. I want to know. Maybe I'm wrong. And I'm very well to admit if I'm wrong. But I'm also asking R&B if I'm right or wrong. And we'll get a professional's opinion on this.
You're asking a mill player if the mill card is...
He's not a mill player. He's a wheel player.
Wheel. That's my bad. That's not his bad. That's my bad.
That's correct.
Anyway.
But he's a wheel player because it's the best. It's the best because he plays it. It's because he plays it.
Put it in freaking number one. Put it number one.
No.
Put it number one.
No, we're not. We're already done. I'm fine with it. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening, and we will catch you next time.
See you guys. Bye.